Da, 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 da. All right. Roll Around the Barrel Show, talking to vintage baseball players from coast to coast and border to border. We're doing it again, and we've circled around the great country of the United States of America, and we've landed right back here in the Midwest, and then we'll go right back out to everywhere right after this week. But coming back home, so to speak, for this week, we are with our host. The co-host is absent. The co-host has the COVID. So Rudy Frias not joining us this week. Very under the weather. He just came in to start recording of the Zoom. And if you could have heard him talk, it would break your heart. He's not all there, besides the usual, but his voice is, you don't want to hear what he sounded like, because you have that vision of the sultry, sexy Rudy Frias in your head. Let's keep that illusion alive. Couple of things before I bring the guest in here for the warm-up. And later on in the match, we have Don Jarvis, one of the captains of the Akron Black Stockings. Don't forget that on December 23rd, that day, early evening, we're going to release our interview with Santa Claus. We actually interviewed Santa Claus. It is a very PG, family-friendly event, so you can sit around the radio, as everyone does nowadays, and listen to that interview with your kids and not have to worry about anything. It's going to be magical. I promise you that. It's probably the best thing we've ever done. Perhaps. And we're rolling down here at the end of the season. I think after this episode, we only got 3 more left until we take our season end break. So we're going to roll out as much content as we can before that. So joining us now in the warm-up, fresh off some of our conversations, and I was contacted by this gentleman that, well, he listens to the show, so obviously that gives some bonus points right there. And but we wanted to talk some vintage baseball pet peeves, and that seems to be always one of the hot button topics of our community. I'm going to sneeze. I'm not doing so well myself, but here we go. From the Rockford Rogues in Michigan, it is Jeff Van't Hof. Did I put that? Jeff, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
All right. Did I put the right emphasis on the right? Van't Hof. Is that right?
Van't Hof. Yep.
Van't Hof. I'm just not doing the T very well, but it's there. I mean,
well, that's okay. You're under the weather. I get
it. Jeff Van't Hof. Of the Rogues of Rockford, Michigan, formerly the Fallsburg Flats. And I think that's where most people would know this club listening to this podcast. Jeff, how long have the Rogues been switched over from the Flats?
Since 2020.
So it's only been a couple years.
Yep.
The Flats kind of made a name for themselves because they'd been invited to the World Tournament. So that's probably where most people know the name, hearing the Fallsburg Flats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times Justin's had to correct me over the years from calling it the Fallisburg Flats. I don't know why I did it. It just seemed like that's the way it was spelled, and I would always say it like that. And he would just look at me like,
no. That's all right. Well, before that, we were called the Cubs.
Yes. So Jeff, good to see you. Good to talk to you. I don't think we've ever had a conversation. Is that true?
No, we haven't. Not at all. Mm-mm.
Well, good. I'm glad to talk to somebody I don't know. I'm always expanding the vintage baseball family ring, I guess, as I call it. So,
awesome.
Jeff, we're here to talk about vintage baseball pet peeves, and you contacted me, and basically, you're on a club now. This is where you're going to correct me. I'm going to get some things wrong.
Okay.
This is going to be a nice conversation. In Michigan, when we talk vintage pet peeves, the Fallsburg Flats were always a team that came up.
Okay.
For various reasons. And you sent me a message saying that it's gotten a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that statement says you knew some things were wrong and you just were trying to fix within. So what do you hear from the vintage community over the years of the Flats and now the Rogues? I'm going to always refer to the Flats because I haven't heard a single peep since you guys have become the Rogues. So I can only refer to the Flats. But what have you heard over the years from the vintage community about the inaccuracies?
I haven't heard a whole lot myself from like the community, but I mean, being that we're on the west side of the state, we've always our club always played by, I guess you could say, an older set of rules. There used to be a club that was pretty prominent over here. That was the Kent Baseball Club. And they were one of the founding members of the VBBA, and they helped a lot of clubs over here start. And we always played by one set of rules. I started in 2008. And, you know, when I was first exposed to vintage baseball, whatnot, we only knew this one way to play that was, you know, straight up in the field, no stealing, no leading off, no sliding, no nothing. And, if the ball was caught on a bound, it was an out. Caught in the air, you get what we call free backs. You just retreat back to the base. That's the only way we knew. So, and we weren't exposed to anything different until, gosh, I'd been on the club for about 3 years before we started playing any other team that was doing anything different. And, it was kind of an eye opener. And I've never heard anything straight from anybody that, that we're doing anything wrong. I just, from me, reading things, seeing things on social media and whatnot like that, they're just kind of indirect, like, hey, this isn't right. This isn't correct. We've done more research and we found out about, of what's all different now. And, but we still, over on this side, with the few teams that we have left, we've always still been kind of stuck in this, I guess you could say rut, but the way of playing the way we've always used to been playing. We have made a lot of changes. We have worked on a lot of things, and they're just not always easy to kind of implement, I guess.
All right. When you go through, for one, it's almost like when you're playing vintage baseball for the first time, because you've been playing baseball, watching baseball, and then all of a sudden those rules are thrown out the window.
Right.
So now you're playing vintage baseball and you're learning all of those rules. And then 3 years into doing that, you find out you're doing it wrong. So then you have to relearn more vintage baseball rules that you didn't know existed. And now it gets very confusing.
It can. Mm-hmm.
And all clubs do something. Here's the thing. All clubs do something as an alteration to a rule to fit their squad. This happens. I don't have a club anymore. I can say these things. Sure. So that's not controversial. It happens. Explain to everybody. You said the first time you heard something on this show about something was Mike Feeney talking about the free backs. A lot of clubs don't understand what that means because that's never been a thing. So explain what the free backs is.
Well, that's all, like I said, that's what we first started playing, and that's when the very first time I played vintage baseball was against the Kents. And basically what a free back is when the ball is caught out of bounds, that's an out, bound rule. But when you catch it on the fly, basically what that is any runners that have tried to advance have to retreat back to the previous base.
Right. So, and you guys were playing where they could not be thrown out. It was free backs.
It was basically just a free back. Yep. And we were playing that all the way up until this year.
So you guys played free backs all the way from 2008 to 2022?
Over here when we played our home matches, yes. Anyway, anywhere else we went, we always played by whatever rules, and we still do. Any rules that they have, we play by.
Did the conversations about the freebacks going away start when you guys were getting invited to the World's Tournament and you were playing a much higher skill level than you were used to?
No, not really. We just, we would just adapt to playing whatever rules that were out there. We knew that some of the teams we played 1867, that some, played, stealing, modified stealing, whatever. And, we always knew that going to Greenfield Village. I mean, we found out the first time, and we were like, our very first time going there, I think was 2012, and we were like deer in the headlights. We were like, oh my goodness, what's this? And we were so used to playing what we've played over here, versus the Kents and the Mariners and Stars, and who all play the same way. And then we go over there and we're playing this 1867 game where they're stealing and leading off and and tagging up and all that other stuff. And there's a whole new different way to play. But we still always, kind of over here on our island on the west side of the state had always stuck to that way. So, and personally myself, I'm good. I was good either way, but I like the challenge of being able to tag up and do what's supposed to be doing. And I over the course of me looking at rules and stuff like that, I realized freebacks were never a thing. But I'm only one person.
Oh no. Yeah, absolutely. That's been Paul Hunkley's battle cry for his entire life. I'm only one person.
Right.
So you guys addressed freebacks, and that's no longer a thing. One of the problems, I guess problem isn't the right word, but when the Kents disintegrated and went away, the west side of Michigan was a bunch of lower skilled 64 clubs. And they all played by this. So you were not the only club doing freebacks.
Oh no, not at all. No. You had the Kent Baseball Club over here. And you also, you had the Sydney Stars. Sydney's still around there. They're hanging on. And then of course, Kalamazoo, though they're like an hour away, they're over here too. But I think they still play a little bit more, I could just say more up-to-date vintage rules. You had, I think, the Ludington Mariners, and these were all clubs that Gordon Olson, who was the founder of the Kents, he helped start. And we all played by those rules.
So then clubs like Ludington doesn't exist anymore, I don't believe. Petoskey doesn't exist anymore, I believe.
Nope, they don't.
And
you had Coopersville too. Coopersville had the Muldoons, and they ended up disbanding right about the time I started playing. So
you guys are stuck with playing less West Michigan teams and having to kind of migrate into the middle of Michigan. Where the closer you get to Detroit, the more competitive it becomes, I guess is safe to say.
Most definitely.
And so some of these rules that you guys would play by naturally would fall by the wayside. Just survival of the fittest as far as it comes to rules.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Like I said, we had to kind of adapt, and we knew every year going down to Greenfield Village or going anywhere on the east side was going to be a challenge. And our skill set got better and our players got better, even though we still played by the same rules that we'd always known. And I think when we finally broke through, I think it was 2016, we finally broke through and beat the Lottie-Dahs on the, we beat the Lottie-Dahs. That's like, that's like beating the Yankees, and we finally beat them. Then we finally, I think that's when we got the invitation to play at the World Tournament. I'm like, whoa, we get to play at the World Tournament. That was a big deal for us.
No, it's a big deal for everybody.
Absolutely.
So for the clubs that get to finally break through, because there's a lot of clubs trying to break through to get into those invites. It is a big deal.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about a couple other things.
Sure.
And I don't know where you guys stand on these rules. So we'll just talk about them as they come up. So that was the Mike Feeney rule. Mike Feeney hated the free backs.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mike, we've addressed it. You're welcome. The one that killed me was the modern lineup.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The not playing the vintage lineup. I had asked a couple of people why you guys play modern lineup, and the answer I was always given was you guys want to give everybody on the team the same amount of chances. I hate this so much, Jeff. It makes my skin crawl. Do you guys still do modern lineups?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Oh my God.
I guess it isn't something we really thought was a big deal. Well, will we play it? Sure, if that's the rule that everybody plays, and I get it. It's vintage. There's no disputing that. No, acknowledge it. But I guess it hasn't been anything we probably thought was a big deal. So, but
I mean, you're playing 1864, right?
Sure.
That's your main.
Yeah,
you're playing 1864 baseball, but you're
yeah.
All right. Well, they didn't use a modern lineup.
No, they didn't.
Okay.
I agree.
I don't know where else to go with it from there.
Yeah, I guess that just has. I mean, is it something we could probably address? I would probably.
It's not so much of the. I understand your guys, or I guess I can't even attribute it to you, but the rationale of giving everybody the same amount of at bats. I understand that as you just want it to be fair for everybody. Unfortunately, this is a competitive event that's not fair for everybody.
Right.
But the thing about baseball that you always hear from people that love baseball so much is baseball is a thinking man's sport. What makes it different from everything else is because it's not just the excelling of hitting the ball.
Right.
I mean, there's chess being played out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the vintage lineup adds to the chess that has to be played because it deals with getting the last out of the inning at a base that gives you an advantage the next time that club comes up and stuff like that. And that's stuff you constantly have to be thinking about, making it more fun. And I think that really trumps giving everybody a fair amount of at bats.
Yeah, I definitely see that point. I guess it's something we really haven't thought about. I haven't personally myself. I haven't really thought about the lineup. I just know I bat last all the time. But something we've never really thought about, really, to be honest with you.
And also in the long run, it really doesn't affect at bat numbers that much. So, although you could find yourself making the last out of an inning and leading off the next inning, which is fun sometimes.
Yeah.
But and I say you are not the only team that does this. So,
no, like I said, I can't remember other teams that
I think Northville does this.
The vintage or the modern?
The modern.
The modern? Okay, yeah. I guess I'm honestly not aware of what teams do modern lineup and what teams do vintage lineup. So and again, any team that we go to play, we play. If they're doing a vintage lineup, we'll play a vintage lineup. So.
But everything we bring up here, I don't want it to seem like I am not picking on the Rogues.
Oh no.
You offered yourself up for this conversation, so we're having
absolutely.
But every rule that we're bringing up, other clubs are doing it too. You are not like the redheaded stepchild of vintage baseball.
I'll just take the
heat. So that's always been my pet peeve is the lineup. And then let's go back in time to 2018-ish. First year of the Frankenmuth festival.
Okay.
That's the year I heard this. They have somebody who's wearing jewelry, sunglasses, sweatbands. What was the other thing? and there was something else. And I didn't have time to police that kind of thing. I never said anything in the rules about that kind of thing. I don't have time for that. But I had so many people coming over, and I think it was your pitcher, was wearing sunglasses, like
Oh,
not
I know
just,
what it was.
but like Oakley or whatever they were, the real beachy sunglasses. Boy, I'm
uh,
cool.
Good old Deuce.
And and stuff like that. And there was something else. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Uh the sunglasses is something we talk about all the time, because if the 1864 players had sunglasses, they probably would have wore them. The
Mm-hmm.
sun's a dangerous the sun's a dangerous thing. So you say nobody wore sunglasses, they weren't even invented. But if they were, they'd be wearing them. But yeah, but most I would say 95% of vintage sticks to the no sunglasses. Did you ever hear anything about anything like that? The little extra things, the logos was another thing.
I never heard any feedback that we were doing anything, and I mean, I know that sunglasses aren't a thing. I mean, guilty myself. Look at my picture on the post that that you put of me. It shows me in these glasses that transition dark. So I do have a pair of old glasses that like I'll wear at Greenfield Village because we know they're strict on that stuff. And granted I don't see near as good, but yeah, I didn't hear anyone say anything to us, but if you had it in the rules, and we probably we should probably know better, but had it in the rules, we probably would have fit it. But that's probably another one of those things that we just really had at our home events hadn't made that big of a deal over. You know, and yeah, we should probably be better at that.
Well, the reason you don't hear anything about it is because people don't want to cause an issue. And
Sure, I
then
get it.
you got hurt feelings, and then you got teams not scheduling with each other because
Oh,
now
sure.
one team's upset with another team, and
Mhm.
it's really, it's not that big of a deal.
Mhm.
That's why we can sit here and have a conversation about it and have
Sure.
it not affect. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a thing.
Oh, sure. The
Uh,
big joke used to be when it came to it over here, when someone would wear sunglasses or whatever, they go, "Oh, he's got syphilis." So I don't know where that came from. So, but that's what they would say. If someone was rolled up with the bat with their glasses on, everyone on the field was like, "Oh, got syphilis. Oh, what's he doing out here?" Well, they laugh and joke at you.
that's funny. I've never heard that, but I did make the connection.
That's yep. I don't hear.
So I guess with this platform I
Mm-hmm.
hear this kind of thing all the time, and you've heard some episodes where we've talked about this. You've made reference at least 3 or 4 times in this interview of course, when we play other clubs that are doing certain things by certain rules, we will play by those rules or whatever. And you've
Mm-hmm.
brought up Greenfield Village a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of use Greenfield Village as the pillar of the community, but they're not even innocent in the whole thing. They are just as close as you can get in Michigan, almost, to being accurate, except for that whole leadoff thing and no stealing in the world's tournament. That's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, modification. A lot of these things are modifications
Sure.
for the the appeasement of club members or for the entertainment of spectators.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said at the beginning, everybody makes adjustments.
Sure.
Uh, what do you see? Uh, let's see if I can get you to say, what do you consider the biggest issue on the Rogues right now that you'd like, as a member of the Rogues, you said you're just one person,
Mm-hmm.
but you're one person that's going to be heard.
Uh-huh.
What's the one thing you'd like to change that they currently do?
One that we currently do, well, we did change one thing, and we did some talking. I'll say the big change that happened that I was really happy with, and I did some talking with Justin, and I actually posed this question. I think it was a 19th century baseball page. And I got a message from, I believe, Corky McCaskill is his name. And he messaged me because I posed a question about tagging up, and and retreating and picking off and leading off. And I didn't see where it seemed to be addressed correctly. And he pointed me to look down in the 1860 rules, look down towards the bottom. He says, look down towards the bottom where nobody looks. And he pointed out some things to me, and I go, aha, light bulb. And that was the big thing that I did. So we basically, with eliminating free backs and limiting on leadoffs and things like that, that's the biggest change that we made that made me happy. More changes, and a big change that I'd like to see. I'd like us to do a little more. How can I put this? I'd like us to steal.
So you would like to go to a more of a unlimited leadoff stealing?
Well, we do unlimited leadoffs. I guess I wouldn't mind being more towards what I guess you could say more towards what the Lottie does do. They do like a modified stealing. Open stealing, probably never going to happen with us.
Well, like we said earlier, it's hard for you guys. You guys can't just flip and go straight doing every single rule the right way because you still have a schedule full of clubs to deal with.
Oh, sure.
You still have to face all these clubs, and you can't just be like, whoa, we're not doing any of that stuff anymore.
Right.
And then you wouldn't have a schedule.
Sure.
So these things do have to be done baby steps.
Absolutely. And like I say, we've taken those baby steps.
So I like the new uniforms that the Rogues have. It has the orange mixed in there. They look sharp. I wish you guys plenty of luck. The one thing I'd like to get rid of is the Justin Brokema toe tap and the Mike Feeney leg kick. If I
I know he's got that high leg kick, and Justin's always had that toe tap. That's always been his thing.
Every time I see him, like, softball, damn it, he's playing softball out there, stop it. But no, Justin's a good guy, and I'm sure he'll only eat me for a couple of months for that comment. So hey Jeff, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you willing to address subject matter that usually people fight about, and we did not fight about it.
Hey, we just want to play and have fun. That's what it's all about.
Really, that's what it is you want to play it, have a good time, and we're just down here doing our best, everybody.
Absolutely.
We're just down here doing it. All right, Jeff, you take care of yourself. You have a fabulous holiday season.
You as well.
I'm sure next season we will do something more because of your generosity of coming on to talk about this. We'll do something more with the Rogues and a more team atmosphere next season. How's that?
Sounds like fun. Looking forward to it.
All right. You have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Mr. Jarvis, how you doing?
Man, how we doing?
We are doing good. I had to let you into the room in the middle of our last interview because of Rudy being sick. He's usually in charge of this stuff.
Oh, geez, he's sick. I was wondering where he was at.
Yeah, when he came on, he sounded like he was gargling glass. And it's pretty painful. He's got the vid. He's got the COVIDs.
Oh boy.
And the wife had it too, or has it too. So he's been miserable for about a week. We didn't know if he was going to get to this interview or not. So
I feel a little bit slighted actually then.
Yeah, ain't it the truth? I'm sorry. You're getting old school. You're just getting mean. That's that's too bad for you, Don.
That's
Anyway,
okay.
we are recording, just so you know. I assume you know that we're still recording and
Yep.
being joined here. Boy, I'm very professional. Let's do an introduction here. We're being joined by one of the 17 captains of the Akron Black Stockings, or three
There's only three
captains
of
of
us.
the
There's only three of us.
Don Jarvis. Don, how are you doing?
Man, I couldn't be better right now.
Did you guys have 4 captains before Scott stepped down? Or did
Yeah, we
somebody...
did. We did have one season. This past season was 4 captains. It was Keith's kind of trial season and Scott's last handoff season. He's still, Scott's Scott. He's never gonna not be as involved as he always wants to be. So he's still basically the treasurer of the team, of the club.
Well, that's a strong suit. I remember the first year I did the Frankenmuth Festival. Scott got a hold of me and said, "Hey, you've got this captain's match. We have 2 captains. Can we both have a spot?" And I'm like, God, that's like opening a can of worms. No. He's like, I'm like, if I let 2 Akron guys show up to that captain's match, I'm going to have 31 other clubs looking at me like, "What are you doing? We want 2 guys." And so you did not get the privilege of playing in the first captain's match at the festival.
Didn't
Did
get
you
the
play in
first
any
one.
of them?
Yeah, this last year I did. This past year I did. So Scott took the
those-
first one, and then we didn't make it for a couple of years. And then this past year, I had the privilege of playing in the captain's match.
The captain's match always starts out like such a good time, and then somewhere in the middle, everybody loses their smile and gets a little more aggressive and like, "Hey, we're trying to win this match," and it's
Yeah, because
fun
nobody
watching.
Nobody won to Arbor.
Didn't
Wasn't
we
that
have
the? I'm pretty sure it was. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We had. Didn't we have Paul Hunkley and somebody else sharing the arbiting?
No, I meant the losers, the captains that lost, had to arbiter
I know.
throughout the weekend.
No, just one match.
Well, I mean, but yeah, there's enough of us. It should only take one match.
Right, but they still don't want to do it. No, that's like you have to put some incentive on that, Don.
I know, I get it. I was a loser. I did my time.
But I really underestimated how having bragging rights was so important to these captains, because you're playing all the other captains, and you guys are never in a situation. It's always your club playing another guy's club, and it's like a team thing. But now you're representing your team all by yourself.
Yep.
Against all these other guys that put in all the work, is the same as you and all that stuff, and it's a best of the best as far as people who are involved in vintage baseball, and you don't get that ever.
No, you rarely get that, something like that. I think we did that something like that one year down in Dover. We pulled together a kind of a captains type match, but it wasn't necessarily the captains. It was as many guys we can get from as many teams we can get around the area. And it's always fun when you get that kind of group together, because usually the ones that come together like that are the ones that put in the work, like you're saying. There's a lot of work putting into for the schedule. Luckily, there's 3 of us, so I just get all the game day and all the field activities. So Chase gets all of the GM duties that Scott was doing, and Keith kind of took up all of the merch activities and whatever else he can pick up. Just working on Facebook, just having to keep Facebook up to date. Just to get the name out there and get vintage out there is enough work, in my opinion. I mean, there's a lot that goes to all that, just trying to get more people out to come see the games.
So funny thing how this interview came together. I was Don Jarvis has been a name on my list. We haven't really talked that much over the years. Just probably a little chit chat and passing or whatever.
Yep.
And but I knew you were a guy, because I think Rudy and I talk to you at like the Ohio Cup? How do Rudy and I know that you were involved in cheerleading? You told us that. Where was this?
I have no idea where I told you that. I mean, It's not. It's probably. I don't know. I honestly
It's in
don't
my
know.
notes.
I forget who
So,
I've told. Honestly.
I have in my notes to get in Don Jarvis and to bring up that you were a male cheerleader. No, we did talk about this in person. This wasn't something I heard from somebody else.
Okay. I don't. It had to have been Ohio Cup then.
And
Either Ohio
because
Cup or one of the Frankenmuth festivals. I mean, those are the only times, honestly, we get to see each other most of the time.
because I remember I wanted to start asking you a bunch of questions about it, and I was like, wait, no, saving it. So
It's probably Ohio Cup.
But anyway, so I contacted you. I was like, well, I was looking for you a couple weeks ago on the social media because I don't have your phone number.
Right.
And I sent a message on Facebook, and you don't really do the Facebook as an individual.
Nope. I have an account, but I can't tell you the last time I was actually on it.
And then before I could move over and try you on Instagram, you sent me a message.
Yep.
And you were asking me about, if everyone listens to previous episodes, you know that there was a brainchild, the Roller Out the Barrel Classic, that I've been trying to put together. And you were asking me if that's actually a thing that's going to happen. A lot of people were, because they're scheduling and they want to be able to keep that date open if necessary. And it wasn't. That had fallen through at a couple of places, and it was really out of my mind. And then you breathed some life back into it and made an effort to try to make that survive. That did not happen as we sit here today.
Yeah.
But I did want to thank you for your efforts into trying to hold that event. That event is not dead. It's on life support, but it's not dead.
Right. We're trying to give it some CPR. We actually have a message out to the location to see if we can work some things out like we talked about. So we're still fingers crossed and hoping they can make it happen, but it's definitely on its last leg right now.
Yeah. And there is one more location in Michigan that I'm going to contact after you pull the plug.
Got it.
And try that. And then if not, it didn't happen. There ain't nothing I can do about it. It's harder to do these events when you don't have a club.
Yeah.
So I bet. And you just like, oh, where can I do this? And there was a couple of places that were like, you're trying to invite some people for a tournament. I'm like, yeah, you have a vintage baseball club. Oh, well, we don't want to upset the vintage baseball club. I'm like, they know about it. They're part of it.
Yeah.
How many people? I'm like, 96 players, and then whoever comes. Are you going to put a cap on how many people can come? And I'm like, why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
I want more people, not less. Right. Or everyone. There were two places that were afraid of how many people were going to come, and I'm like, oh yeah, 1,000 people come to Frankenmuth.
Yeah, right.
And I got a couple hundred coming, and you're like, meh.
Yeah, the number of people definitely wasn't the thing for us. It was just, it's a new location, and they're just we're kind of feeling each other out. So I think that's kind of, and then they heard the word tournament. And,
that's a rough word.
Yeah, we could have, hindsight, maybe tried to steer away from that word and kind of went with the word festival, maybe. But you live, you learn.
You're right. Well, you know what? And it's probably not going to happen. So but it is probably a good thing that they're going to start with their vintage exposure being just two clubs and you guys, and they will fall in love with it. We know that they will. And especially a place like that. That place is phenomenal. We did our homework on that place, and wow, of course they would want vintage baseball there. That place is perfect. So they'll fall in love with you, and maybe we'll do something in 2024. Who knows?
That'd be fantastic. I know the Black Stockings captains are all in. I can tell you that. We were probably not quite as disappointed as you when we found out we're on life support, but we were pretty disappointed.
And then your other home field, which you can't get into until later in the season, Stan Hewitt. Of course, everybody knows that's where the Akron Cup happens, and that's just I mean, you will have two of the best places in vintage baseball to play games. Like, you'll be the only club I can think of that has two top tier fields.
We are absolutely spoiled, and we know it. You know, we actually, when we go to Stan Hewitt, we go so often, and it's almost like we have to remind ourselves how great we have it. You know, so when we go to travel, we're like, okay, remember, this is why we love Stan Hewitt so much. You know, okay, the grass is a little long today. All right, we can get over that.
So I'm going to give you a memory of you and me from the Ohio Cup playing against each other. I don't think you're going to remember this, but I'm going to remember it for the rest of my life.
Oh boy, that's scary.
I got a base hit into left field.
Okay.
And I was rounding first base, feeling myself. I was never there was no threat. I wasn't going anywhere, but you round the base as you do.
Right.
You got the ball. You were playing third base.
Okay.
And I believe Scott was playing first base, or was it the other way around?
I'm gonna tell you, if I was at third, then Scott was gonna be probably the one at first.
Okay.
Usually the way we play, if we have Rob, which has been on the team the longest, if he's not at first, it's gonna be one of us two, most likely.
So I was playing with the Minnesota Union. So it was the first Ohio Cup I played in. So this is probably the last year before COVID, I want to say. So I rounded, and then turned my back to go back to first base. Well, I believe you got the throw in from the left fielder, and you turn and you throw a piss rocket over to first base, and I get tagged out, meandering my way back to first base, just kind of soaking up the joy of getting a base hit. And I look back over, I'm like, oh no, I have to remember that some guys are here to play baseball. And I was not in that mindset. I am just out here. I have got to kick it up a notch, I think, is what I have to do, or at least not be so silly hearted as I run the bases. And so you taught me a valuable lesson that day. And I've never done that ever again. Fortunately, it was at the end of my career, and it doesn't matter. But thank you for the lesson learned.
Yes.
You guys have the pleasure of being in the Ohio Cup every year. You play on one day because you're an Ohio club. You got some memories from the Ohio Cup personally for Mr. Don Jarvis that you'd like to share?
It would have to be probably one of my first times ever being on the team playing at Ohio Cup. And it was raining like it does sometimes at Ohio Cup. And I actually have a picture, and I'm not sure where the picture's at. My parents drove down from Akron because they used to follow me everywhere I went. And I have a picture of Mom taking a picture of me rounding third base, hitting a mud puddle, and the water splashing up base up to my hips. Just out there having fun. I mean, obviously you're not going to be too aggressive and, too try to win too hard. I mean, obviously you're always trying to win, but when it's mud and water up to your waist and you're playing, that's probably one of my favorite times. This is my first time, I guess, is really what it came down to.
You are an intense player, but you do not wear it on your face. You have the same expression on your face the entire time you're playing baseball. It never changes. You never smile and laugh, but you never get angry and are yelling that I've seen. I guess this is just me. But I do get the impression that when you first started out in vintage, and this is just an opinion, Don, I don't know. It took you a little while to get intensity under control a little bit because you are an intense guy. And I can assume that when you first started, it took you a little bit to get used to where the line was.
Actually not so much in vintage. The guys that invited me were very smart. I played softball with them before that. And until I started to calm down a little bit in softball, I wasn't invited to vintage.
Oh, my.
Yeah, they were smart.
What?
They were definitely smart when they did that.
Well, with age comes wisdom. So let me ask a younger Don Jarvis, what was the situation at the softball fields?
I'm it was intense. Intense is the right word. I want to kind of leave it there. It wasn't.
You give me one incident, just one, something where you look back and go, probably shouldn't have. That went too far.
Well, one time I was playing ball, and I was probably one of the first times out of school playing softball. I was playing with my uncle, and I got so into the game that I couldn't even make a play after that. Like I was just almost itching to have a fight, which was not good. I definitely had that, and then unfortunately that reputation carried with me for a while, and I think I'm starting to get out of it now because I am calm. I'm usually one of the calmer guys now, but younger Don Jarvis did definitely had a problem. Let's put it this way: I was watching my sister play one time because she plays softball all the way through, and I got kicked out of a park because I was yelling at the umpire at her game. So we can just kind of take that where that was probably going throughout my career.
Umpiring girl softball games is what ended my umpiring career.
Oh, I
will tell you. Oh, they are worse than men.
If you had, if you had a brother like me in the stands too, that was that didn't help.
Oh my God. I never felt so alone than being an umpire in a girl softball. It was the worst experience of my life. One of my favorite softball stories to share from another intense individual is Jeff Silverback Rawl, member of the Bay City Independence, former captain, very intense. He's still intense, as with everybody. It mellows with age.
Yep.
But before he found vintage baseball, I went to a softball game he was having, and he hit a home run in his first 3 at bats, Don. A home run in his first 3 at bats, and his team was smoking the other team. He got up for his 4th at bat, and it got caught at the warning track, and he threw his bat against the fence. And I'm like, wow, that's a bit much. And I always tell that story. Like, I've never hit a home run. You hit 3 and you're upset you didn't get the 4th one. So his intensity has mellowed over the years too, because I know for a fact when he got into vintage, he had that still. He just didn't, but he had to learn quick where the line was.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I credit vintage with getting me to where I'm at right now. Like, even when they invited me to, I was still a little more intense on the field in softball. But then, I'm in vintage. I'm like, oh, this is gentlemanly. This is how we should be playing. Have more fun, try to win. But it's just a different game. And today, if someone told me either vintage or softball, I'm not playing softball again in my life, like hands down.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people say that after experiencing the vintage, and yet we still have problem with numbers across the board. It's amazing to me. I don't understand what's the problem, except for too many clubs existing, Michigan. But still, those guys have to travel.
I think some of the guys are afraid of catching a ball without a glove. That really, I think it scares a lot of the softball guys.
Well, let's go back to when you come across vintage baseball for the first time. How do you hear about it? And how do you feel about it when you first come across it?
So I was actually playing softball with Scott, and Dennis and Josh, the guy he isn't playing anymore. He used to play on Black Stockings. And they said, come on out and try it. I came out. And I thought, I was like, oh, this is going to be a little weird, but, I've caught balls without a glove before. Okay, whatever. And the first practice I was at, I was playing third base during BP. I just wanted to get a feel for it. And a guy hit just a straight BB down the line. I stuck my hand out, broke my thumb. First practice, shattered my thumb. Didn't know it, right? Because it swelled up so fast. Had no idea. Went to get an X-ray. They said nothing was broken. So I played 2 vintage weekends with it, an entire softball season with it, before a doctor actually said, "Oh yeah, it's shattered. You got to get a bunch of pins and screws put in it now." And I've been in love ever since.
How long into your vintage career did you know that softball had to go?
Couple years, 2 years maybe. I mean, it wasn't long. It really wasn't. The first year I broke my thumb. And then I came back near the end of that year or the year after that. And it was basically someone say the word and softball's over. I mean, I play now just to keep my swing throughout the week. That's all I played for.
Well, you guys, you have a pretty sweet situation. We talk on many episodes on this podcast about how getting together enough guys to make sure dates aren't canceled and the lack of commitment. Akron does not have these problems, do they? They do not have commitment issues.
Recently we haven't. We've been there in the past, unfortunately. One time this past season, actually, we did have to cancel one, and it was because somebody had, I forget, it was like somebody had some emergency happen. 2 people were on vacation. It was just like a series of every event that could possibly happen. And honestly, traveling is where we're usually hitting the 9, maybe if we're lucky 10. Home games, I'll have 15, 20 people want to play.
Sure.
Away games, it's like, we got 9. We're happy, we're pumped.
You guys are a competitive, might be an unfair word, but you guys aren't, when you lose, you're not going down easy. I mean, you're a good club. You guys know how to play baseball. That's a fact. And you have a great event there with the Akron Cup. I was able to make the trek there to play as a Columbus Capital in my last year of playing. And that was awesome. And then what happened? I came back. Did I come back to do the podcast?
I think you were supposed to one year and something happened. You couldn't make it. If I remember
Something
right.
happened. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Is I was supposed to come, and then
was that the year?
Canceled.
Was that the year like monsoon?
Yeah, I think it was. No,
that was a good one to miss.
Monsoon was the year that Canton won it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. I was playing as a Capital that year. It was the next year or something.
Okay.
Anyway, yes, because the Capitals decided not to play against Canton or something, and Canton won by forfeit or something.
No, the year they won by monsoon, they played the championship with Dover, I think. I think it was Dover, if I remember right. At least the last year that they won it.
So somebody got into the championship because of the Capitals, which I guess is me also, deciding not to play.
That could have been it.
Because it was it must have been something like that.
I don't remember. A few years ago, I don't remember. I know last year it was Akron and Canton in the championship game, and Canton came out on top.
Screw them, Don.
Hey, it was a good match. It came down to we were at last at bats. I was up. I had a runner on second. I thought I smoked it over the second base, and out of nowhere, shortstop comes up with these giant meat hooks and just catches the ball and then steps on second for a double play. So it was an amazing catch. And I had to relive it like 3 or 4 times because Feeney filmed it and put it everywhere. So it was awesome. I got to keep re-seeing my failure. But
Canton is a good group of guys, and the thing is, they know how to play baseball.
I love playing against them.
They, on paper, you're like, whatever. But as far as baseball knowledge, and intelligence, there isn't a better club right now than them guys.
Yeah, I love playing against Canton so much.
They know every little rule, and they expose them all the time to their advantage. They're good guys. So
That's the best part. They're fun to play with. They're not going to go out there and rub it in your face. They're going to go out there and play their game. They're not going to yell and scream if you make a good play and get upset. And, unfortunately, even in vintage, it seems like every once in a while you get somebody that's just fresh over from softball. And those are the ones that'll slide into you or, try to take you out or something. It's like you have to remind them, like, hey, guys, this is softball. I got work tomorrow. I don't need this. Like, I'm past that.
Ken will slide into every base all over the place, but they're doing it within the realm of reality. They're not sliding into people.
Exactly.
They're not doing it to break things up.
Exactly.
They're doing it for the health of the play, and they just deem that's what's the healthiest thing at that moment.
Yep.
And they always get a ton of garbage about how they're sliding and everything when it's just the smartest play at the time. You just got to watch it to appreciate it, or be on the field.
Yeah.
And play against them to appreciate that there isn't an evil bone in those bodies.
Yeah. I don't mind the sliding rule as long as the venue is okay with it. That's the part you got to watch out for. As long as it's set up front, as long as both teams playing by the same rules, then we're good.
Absolutely. Don, take me back to when you are a young Don Jarvis. You have not grown into your beard yet.
Right.
Your first memories of baseball and playing baseball.
Okay. So this is my favorite memory. I will never forget this. I was playing t-ball. It was actually at a practice, and my dad was one of the coaches. I was playing first base. Kid hit it. My dad fielded it. He threw it at me. I wasn't paying attention because in t-ball, nobody pays attention. I was looking at the cars go by or picking dandelions or something. I don't know what I was doing. I got hit right in the face from my own dad at a t-ball practice. Yep. That's when I learned that you don't take your eye off the ball, even at practice.
How did you know it was him?
Oh yeah. He told me afterwards, after I got done crying and,
Was
being
that the
sued by my
lesson
mom
he told
because I was a
you?
little kid and got beamed right in the face by my dad. And yeah, I found out it was him.
And is that what he told you? Is pay attention all the time at practice?
I honestly don't know what he told me. I don't remember that part. I just remember getting hit in the face. That's it.
You still kept playing.
Oh yeah.
It did not deter you from moving up in the ranks from the t-ball. T-ball, I find that most kids are out there. My kids were my oldest son was out there. I don't know. I think he was trying to build sandcastles like in the dirt out there. No one cares. The ball gets hit and everyone's trying to tackle the ball, and it's really not much of a baseball experience. But
Nope.
What was baseball like in a non official manner, like in your neighborhood when you're trying to round up kids to play baseball? And we always say it here, you cannot round up 17 friends to play a baseball game. So what did the early baseball games look like in your neighborhood?
Home run derby. That was it. It was from the very beginning. I had a wiffle bat, and I had a fenced in backyard. So we would set up home run would be the fence, and then we would, play. Back in the day they did home run derby like where there's two people and they went through basically innings. So you got so many outs an inning, you went through 9 innings, and that's how we played it. Because I saw that being played one time on ESPN Classic way back then. So I thought, this is the best way to play home run derby. I don't care what they're doing now. This is how we're playing home run derby. And that's what we did.
You're talking about the old school, like Brooks Robinson and Willie Mays and all that stuff. It was like a weekly show.
Yep.
And it was like a tournament in the way that the winner would go on to the next week and face somebody until they got all the way to the end.
I watched it every chance I got.
Yeah, I have a DVD of it. I watch once in a while.
Do you really? I've never seen that, or else I would own it too. Because I love that style, that way they played home run derby. I thought was just the coolest because they're basically playing a game, but the only way to score is hitting a home run.
Yeah, and they would always do the the close up, and they did this during baseball games back then too. They would do like this from under close up of the face of the hitter, and they're not doing that right now.
No.
That had to have been done and edited in there and everything. But yeah, that home run derby was pretty cool. I don't know. I'm always fascinated by a home run derby, no matter what the rules are. I never have any complaints.
Well, yeah. Well, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been doing
the ball.
the wiffle ball home run derby. I mean, since, like I said, even that was when we started. So it'd be one or two of us, 3, 4, or 5 of us, whatever it was, all the way up through when I got my first house. I was renting a house. It had a huge backyard, and me and my best friend, and we would go out and play home run derby all the time. Or actually, at that point, we actually sophisticated up a little bit. We had markers where if you hit it past this marker in the air, it was a single, double, triple, and then a home run. So then we would just keep track of the bases, and we play 7 innings.
That's what you had to do rules like that, because you just didn't have enough people to make things happen. Everybody had to make rules to get their satisfaction out of the baseball. After you do you follow organized baseball all the way up to high school? Do you do minors and majors and all of that?
Me personally?
Yes.
No, I made it through high school. I tried to get into college as a walk-on. I didn't make it at Akron. Turns out they had too many catchers, and I was a catcher all the way through high school, and I didn't make the squad. So official baseball kind of died right there for me. And then it honestly took me a couple of years to even want to play softball, because I was like, man, I want to go out there and play those old guys. And then I got into it. And
it's funny, is softball has a bad name before you get into it and after you get out of it.
Yeah.
Like read softball, you're like, that's the only thing you can do.
Yep.
It really is. Did you ever look into, because they exist, but they're just sparse, the fast pitch baseball leagues?
Yeah, there's one around here. It's called Roy Hobbs, and they do play around here, but it's so it's so hard to get into. And like, I know a couple guys that played it for a little bit. I didn't make the college squad, the university. I was like, you know what, this is my sign. I hate it, but it's my sign, so I'm gonna give it up. It hurt.
How big of a baseball fan are you?
Huge, actually. I got blueprints for one of the original bats on the wall. I got a blueprint for original baseball field up there, and I got a blueprint for a ball over there as part of my art.
What is the team of choice for Mr. Jarvis?
Cleveland.
Okay, so I was hoping that was going to be the answer. What is your take on the Guardians?
I was not a fan. I'm a fan of the team. I'm not a fan of the name. So I grew up with the Indians, and I still wear Chief Wahoo when I go to the games, and I still will. That's not going to change. But they did what they did. Why they did it, it's the times, I guess. I wish they would have picked something better than the Guardians, but I would have been happy if they went back with like the Blues or the Spiders or one of even the older names. But
yeah, they should have went back to one of the older names. But I have a feeling they picked the Guardians because it was the closest name they could come up with to what their name currently was, to save them money on certain things.
I think they went in my opinion, they went the cheaper route, because they have those statues on the bridge in Cleveland that were already called the Guardians. So they're trying to tie it back into the city.
Yeah. I have a little bit of a different viewpoint as you on that. I was never a fan of the Chief Wahoo, but I never cared that they were called the Indians. And I know that there's a lot of actual Native Americans that didn't care they were called the Indians. I guess it depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I thought the Chief Wahoo was a little over the top. Like, I didn't care about the Washington Redskins logo. I thought it was, I don't know, I thought it was pretty respectable. I never loved the Redskins though. So I guess everybody has their line. When I was a kid, I loved the Chief Wahoo thing. Now as an adult, I can see like,
do you remember the older one?
American, that's kind of goofy.
Yeah. Do you remember like the old one where it was like kind of more tannish and less reddish?
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that looked more offensive. The other one looked more like a cartoon. But
Right. No, yeah. Absolutely. No, you're right on that. But I also know if I was a Cleveland Indians fan, I'd be wearing Chief Wahoo still to this day, just like you do. So I'm not unrealistic about things. Like I'm a Detroit Tigers fan and I don't have to worry about that kind of thing. But
well, I don't know. Maybe one day the Tigers will be offended, man. I don't know.
Listen, everybody's offended by something, and I think I don't think we cared in the past about people being offended. So now I think we've passed by, and now we have to care about everybody being offended by everything. And I think we should have stopped short, it's like in the halfway. Like we overcorrected way too far.
The
Like
pendulum moment swings, right?
yeah,
I mean, we're way over here and it swings all the way back over here. We'll get back into the middle eventually.
we got to chill out. Like you don't think there's somebody out there offended that we're named after an animal that gets caged in zoos?
Mhm.
Damn it, there's a group I don't even have to look it up. I just know there's a group that protests the Detroit Tigers because, I mean, for crying out loud, they got the cages taken off the animal crackers, Don. Now they're just free roaming animals on the package of the animal crackers. So
that's accurate.
What can you do? I wish the Washington Commanders or Redskins would have just stayed the Washington Football Club. I thought that was pretty sweet.
I actually like that too. I like the Washington Football Club. I kind of like that.
I think whoever buys the club is just going to go back. I think they're going to take the Commanders off and just go back to that football club. They should.
They should.
There's rumors. They're going to be an Amazon thing apparently.
Oh boy.
He gets his. So Don, you said you. Well, it's Jeff Bezos, I think, that's trying to buy the team. I think that's what I read. You went into college, you tried out for the baseball, that didn't work out, and now we're going to get to a subject that we have not. I love to find my mission in every episode, Don, is to find that one thing that I have not talked to anybody else about before. And that one thing with you is male cheerleading. And I always get so stoked when I knew yours ahead of time. Usually I have to, in the middle of the episode, keep trying to ask questions to get to the thing, get to it. And I knew yours ahead of time. Answer me this question. Is the hardest move for a male cheerleader when you have to throw up the female cheerleader and then you're balancing her on one hand with her one foot as she has the other one like bent? I don't know the names of these things, but she's balancing on your hand with one foot. Is that the hardest thing?
No.
Damn. That would have been my guess. If Rudy was here, I was going to have him guess too, but he's sick. What is the hardest thing for a male cheerleader?
The hardest thing. So it really depends. Like I would say the hardest thing is stunning with a girl that does not try hard enough. That's the hardest thing. Doesn't matter what trick it is. They could be 90 pounds. If they do not try, you can't hold them up. It won't happen. In stunning, the guy does a lot of the throwing, but the girl actually initiates it. So a good stunning partner will actually jump half the way and you just finish it and then catches the top and hold.
Is there a pecking order in cheerleading in which the better female cheerleaders will be paired with the better male cheerleaders, or do they do it the opposite to where they have to mix them to
It
kind
depends.
of?
So for a competition, 100%, that's what's happening. For like game time cheering, you'll get a mix. So you'll have one of the better girls with one of the better guys because they want to put on a good show and they do certain stunts. But you also have some of the better girls working with the newer guys. Like I had, when I first started, if I wouldn't have had some of the girls that was willing to work with me, then I would have never been able to continue on because there's just so much to learn, and you're catching up. Honestly, for guys, unless you are one of the few guys that start off when you're a little kid and go all the way through, you're playing catch up from the very beginning. So the guys that do it from the very beginning, they're the ones that are going to the Kentuckys, the big schools that win these competitions every year. There's a nationals competition depending on which version you're going to. US NDA or US, I can't remember now. If one of the cheerleading people talk to me on or hear this, they're gonna make fun of me bad because I forget them now. But anyway, depending on which one you go to, I mean, there's competitions, there's national competitions, and well, now I think they're trying to get into the Olympics, even.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. These competitions are huge.
Oh yeah.
I mean, these are broadcast on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the competitions, and so it's almost like the football games and the basketball games are just kind of, that's really not what cheerleading is about. That's just kind of like practice.
We do that because we do that so that the school would pay for things. That's why we went to the basketball and football games.
And when you have a competition coming up and you have to work on one of these programs, I mean, you're putting in hours and hours and weeks and months into just the one performance. How many performances do you have to do at one of these competitions? Is it just one, or do you like advance like a tournament?
It's 2 to 3. So you do your routine, and every team does a routine first, and then the top half or so of the squads then go on, and then they have a chance to basically improve themselves.
So, I mean, it's almost like a full-time job. You're going to college and studying and trying to get your best grades, and you've got this full-time job, and you probably had a job while you were in college.
Yeah, it's just like every other collegiate athlete, actually. I mean, all except for their season is just one part of the year. So like basketball, their season's during basketball season. Football, there's during football season. Our season starts in the very beginning and goes all the way through until our competition. So the 1 year that when I was doing it, and Akron made the tournament, March Madness tournament, we had to fly out to, and cheerleaders had to go with them, had to fly out to Oregon. And we were practicing half of our competition out there while the other half was back home practicing their half, hoping that we were able to be ready when we come back to put it all together to make it in time for our competition down in Daytona.
So were you part of the ones that went to the West Coast?
Yeah.
That was the Final Four?
It wasn't the Final Four. They got, for some reason, Akron got put into the bracket out there. They only made the first round.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't.
But they were in the tournament?
Yep.
Well, that's pretty sweet. I don't remember hearing ever Akron's name in that big tournament.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. To my knowledge, it only happened once, and it was one of the years I was there, and I got to go out there with it.
Is it the Akron Zips?
Yeah, that's it.
It is the Zips. I know that because they're a MAC team.
Yep.
And we have a lot of MAC clubs here in Michigan, so we come across Akron. Was there a quarterback that went to Akron that went on to be a big deal in the NFL? Am I getting this right?
No, not Akron.
No, not Akron. No, I know that. Not Akron.
Yeah, no, we unfortunately the 4.5 years that I was there, the football team was not good.
Was David Letterman go there? What am I coming? It's working in my brain. Did Stephen Colbert? Somebody went to? No, it was Dayton. Damn it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There's an Akron thing in my brain somewhere. I'll find it later.
Our basketball team was pretty good the years that I was there. We had the guys that played with LeBron at St. V. Basically, his friends played at Akron during that time that I was there.
Yeah, so those clubs that LeBron was on in high school, those guys mostly probably went on to college at the university.
That's several of them from that. Several of them there. couple times LeBron would show up to the games and stuff.
Not anymore, though. He doesn't care about you anymore.
No, he didn't.
Any chance he's coming back to Cleveland?
No. None.
He's done enough, though. That
Good.
one championship, championship, that's all you needed, right?
He got us to one. He broke the spell of professional Cleveland teams for however long it took us to get anything, and that was the baseball club tried a couple times, and LeBron came in and did it once for us.
I remember I took a trip to Cleveland. This is many years ago. This is when the Indians were in the middle of that streak of sellouts at Jacobs Field.
Okay.
So I went to a game at Jacobs Field, and then I went to a Cavs game that night because the stadium was right next to it.
Yep.
And that's back in these blue and white uniforms, and they had a Yeti as the mascot. Do you remember this Yeti?
Yeah.
They kept playing these videos of this Yeti up on the scoreboard. I'm like, what? It was the Cavaliers against the Philadelphia 76ers. I want to say it was the 76ers because Allen Iverson was there. And I don't think this is before he started going on to other teams at the end of his career. I want to say it was the 76ers. But the only thing I really remember from the game is this damn Yeti.
The
was
old
crazy.
Black and blue and looked like ice, like they, for whatever reason, they mirrored it off of ice or something. I don't know. That was a weird time. That was a weird time for Cleveland basketball.
I remember one of my favorite Tigers going to Cleveland, and that was Travis Fryman. And I remember one of my least favorite Tigers going to Cleveland, and that was Ryan Rayburn. He was awful. Give me your yeah, he was, well, I mean, he wasn't good. I'm sure. The one thing about Ryan Rayburn is he could play just about anywhere. Averagely, but still he could play just about anywhere. But I mean, it was all right there in the stats. Nobody thought he was going to become lightning in a bottle. You just had to plug a hole, apparently.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
No offense to Ryan Rayburn, but he's not listening.
Probably not.
What were some? I don't want to hear this almost winning the World Series garbage that one year you guys played like Florida or whatever it was. What are some of your favorite memories as an Indians fan?
Honestly, it would be watching the games with Dad. From the time that I can remember, during the summer, that's the only thing anybody watched. If you wanted to watch anything else, you better hope a baseball game wasn't on. That was it. You were done.
How far away is Akron from Cleveland?
About an hour drive, hour-ish. Not bad.
No, that's closer than my drive to Detroit, so I'm envious there.
Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite Cleveland Indians of all time?
My hands down favorite baseball player ever is Sandy Alomar Jr.
Oh, tell me why. He
was a catcher. I was a catcher. His work ethic was unmatched at the time. The guy was constantly working on his craft. Even when he was being voted MVP, he was still out there having the grounds crew throwing balls to block in the dirt. I remember that story. I heard that story somewhere, and it just stuck with me ever since. So it was just the work, and then he was a good guy off the field too. He wasn't one of those guys where you have to hear about things going on and stuff happening. He played for my favorite team. It all kind of fell together.
Absolutely. I was a big Manny Ramirez guy through his whole
Manny
career.
Also. I like Manny. I like Roberto, his Sandy's brother. Lofton. I mean, basically the 90s team. I loved all of them. That's why I started growing, was watching them. Tomei. You can't beat Tomei either.
Oh, Tomei. Oh, that's a good one.
That giant swing where he either struck out or hit a home run outside the stadium.
Albert Bell. That's a good one.
He had some problems off the field that was out in the limelight from the very beginning. So
Absolutely. I remember he had some problems with some trick-or-treaters once, but
Yeah, chased him down the road, I think is what it was.
damn, he could hit.
Oh, he could crush the
Uh,
ball. And he did that thing where he held it like almost out in front of him a little bit. I never understood how he can get his bat speed, get the bat to the ball when he did that. I could never understand it.
Well, the same thing with Gary Sheffield. Like, how does he
Yeah.
do that?
I,
How is he moving that bat back and forth as hard as he does,
yeah,
and still does what he? Oh wow, yeah.
it shows why they're
Uh,
professionals and I'm now playing vintage.
being a big Cleveland Indians fan, you must love or hate the movie Major League.
It is
Which
actually my
one?
favorite movie of all time.
See, uh,
My,
how
my
many of these jerseys do you see at the games of like Serrano and
I
all
own
the other
Dorn.
guys?
I have Dorn. I wear that under the games. I'm one of those.
Yeah, those are great. I would wear, if I were to have one of those, it'd be that old time pitcher that like threw jalapeno up in his nose to get the and all that stuff. I can't remember his name off the top of
Oh,
my
I can't
head.
remember. I can't remember it either now, and I'm so disappointed in myself.
He plays a great bad guy just about in all of his movies. Not like a villain, but just like just a guy you just didn't like.
Yep.
He's a good character actor. Uh, yeah, and then they had a couple of stinkers come on after that, but the first one, such a great movie. That was filmed at the old stadium, wasn't it?
It wasn't filmed in Cleveland.
It wasn't. Was
No,
that
it was.
Milwaukee? Was it Milwaukee that was filmed in?
Yeah, Milwaukee.
Yeah, okay. So I think it was Milwaukee's old stadium.
Yeah,
I don't remember the name of it. It will never come to me. Hey, Don, what do you do for a living?
I am a corporate quality manager. So
A quality.
what's that?
It's is that at this Rotec Incorporated?
Nope. Rotec is actually a couple places ago. I work for a place called Beery Cheese now. So I'm in food.
So you're a quality control expert of cheese. Is that what you do?
That's exactly it.
So you have to go look at cheese all day and maybe taste some cheese.
I eat more cheese than I've ever thought I would.
And what's your favorite cheese before you had this job? And what's your favorite cheese now?
Okay. My favorite cheese before would have been probably a mild cheddar or a provolone. Now I would say, oh man, that's tough. I've learned that I like the sharper, the better of the cheddars. So every once in a while, we'll get some really sharp where it's actually like salt crystals are forming on it. That's how old it is. And that's hands down my favorite. Sharp white cheddar.
So tell everybody the best that you can.
Okay.
How is cheese made?
How is cheese made? So basically they have the milk, they bring it through the milk, it goes through several processes as they're going through, and they develop the curds, and they basically condense those all down and they get the whey off of there, and then it solidifies into a block. And then that's your cheese. I mean, in a nutshell. Fortunately, we don't have to make the cheese. We bring them in from other vendors, and then we cut it down into the slices, the shreds, the cubes, the sticks, and so forth.
So you have to do the quality control as it comes in before you guys do what you do to it.
Both. So we'll do it. We'll actually, it's called grading. So we'll grade the cheese as it comes in before it goes to the conversion line. And then after it's packaged, there's lots of quality checks all the way through there to make sure that that the packages are sealed correctly, that it's not going to mold in the store, things like that, that it's cut to the right size, the weights are going to be correct, because all that matters, because there's a nutritional label on the back of the package. and then that we ensure there's no it goes through like metal detection to make sure there's no foreign material in the product before it goes to the store.
What I just had a great cheese question and it just left me. You see all of this cheese. By the way, the moldier the better on the blue cheese, is that right?
We don't actually do any blue cheese, but that's probably my least favorite cheese is blue cheese.
Oh my god, I just remembered my question. Have
Perfect.
you guys experienced any supply chain issues like so many have?
Less on cheese and more on everything you need to convert the cheese.
Oh, okay.
So we've had some issues downstream where like the people that make the packaging for us, they had issues getting some component that they needed in order to make the packaging, the film.
You never thought we were going to have this detailed of cheese talk.
I definitely did not expect us to talk about converting cheese.
Male cheerleading and cheese talk, you're not going to get that just anywhere. And but the vintage baseball talk you get every episode here. So
There.
Hey Don, we did it. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. We got one more segment we're going to do. I'm going to give you the old pepper. I don't know how many episodes you've listened to of this stuff, but
I've heard them.
I do giving you the old pepper at the end, just some quick questions for some quick answers, and we're going to do that. But before we do that, I wanted to tell you thank you. I'm sorry you did not get the royal treatment of having Rudy Frias here tonight, but we kicked it old school the way it used to be, and you got me.
It's been my pleasure.
I'm glad that we've had this interaction, not only this interaction, but the other interactions we've been having the last couple of weeks. I appreciate all the things that you tried to do, and it doesn't go unnoticed with me. I appreciate you, and I look forward to us continuing our vintage baseball friendship.
Oh, I love it. This the vintage baseball community is more of a family than anything else at this point for me. I mean, I love my family, but vintage baseball, I love it so much. And
that's one of the big allures. Oh, thank you. And I love you. And hey, that's one of the allures of vintage over softball, is because you have your wife and you have your kids in most situations, and softball atmospheres
not always great for it. Not always great for it.
She's not coming to the games. And vintage baseball, that's a different story, and you can involve your entire family, and the wives always take up, well, some wives play, some wives take up the responsibility of say the book or helping out in all the after match festivities. I really enjoy this recent couple months of episodes we've had where we've talked to a ton of women that play vintage baseball, and their men come and watch them play.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm loving these episodes that are coming out. There was rumors that there could be an Akron Lady Lock starting up again. Somebody has reached out to us, so hopefully that happens. I haven't heard anything recently, but fingers crossed that's going to happen.
Is that something that existed before?
Yeah, it did. It used to exist. I don't know how many years ago, but they were around, and then families happen and whatnot, and it kind of died off.
The Lady Diamonds would love another women's club to come up. Yep. They're tired of playing themselves and whoever they come across at these festivals they go to. Is there's women, they're doing it the right way. If you see the women teams that are popping back up, it went dormant for a while, but now they're popping back up and they mean business. There's the maidens out in Arizona that are playing in a men's league.
I actually watched that episode. I was amazed that they're out there playing with the guys. That's fantastic.
It is fantastic, and most of them have some ball experience, so it's not like a deer in the headlights situation. They're trying to win. They're not out there trying to look good and we'll lose 50-0.
Right.
They don't want any part of that. So that is so cool. I hope that catches fire out there. I hope the Akron situation happens and it catches fire over here, because a successful women's division or women's clubs in the Midwest can only mean good things for the security of the men's
100%.
department. And so definitely for the community. And here are your questions.
Okay.
Give me the first name of the worst female cheerleader you had to work with.
Emily.
Damn you, Emily. What was the first concert you ever went to?
The W's.
What was your first car?
Mercury something. Can't remember.
Name a vintage baseball club that you, in your personal opinion, just seems to have the Black Stockings number.
Canton.
I hate that that's the answer.
They're one of the few that we haven't beaten recently.
Name one of the clubs in vintage baseball that when you guys get done with your schedule, you make a mental circle around that date just because you love playing against them so much.
Canton. It's probably one of them for me anyway, personally.
When you were putting food on your first go around for Thanksgiving,
okay,
this is the first plate. What went on that plate?
Well, I'm gonna be a little different because my first plate for Thanksgiving was actually breakfast. We always do breakfast at my family. So I had eggs, bacon, sausage, pancakes. Yeah, I think that was it. But it was piled really high.
So that was breakfast, and then don't you have a traditional Thanksgiving dinner?
Well, yeah, but you said the first meal for Thanksgiving. That was my Thanksgiving for my parent, for like my side of the family.
Okay, so the first time turkey hits your plate, what else is on that
plate? Stuffing, mashed potatoes, and turkey.
And that's all you had room for on that plate, right?
That was it, because it was piled high again.
What did you dress up for Halloween?
I'm pretty boring here. I couldn't tell you the last time I dressed up. Actually, I can tell you the last time I dressed up. It was a long time ago, but I went as Cupid.
Oh, well, did you have the beard?
I did. It wasn't as long because that was when I was in college, and I couldn't have it as long as a cheerleader.
Oh, you still had, I was picturing you as a beardless Don Jarvis as a cheerleader.
Oh, no.
No, it
was about the length of yours.
Oh, you'd think you get like a shoelace caught in that thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to have this. I was allowed to have what you had.
Yeah, whatever that is. What is your favorite vintage baseball field to play on?
Gotta be Stan Hewitt. It's my favorite one to play on. No, my favorite travel day would probably be one of my favorites would be Ruther B. Hayes Museum. Just the challenge of playing with all the trees is a lot of fun.
You like fields with a lot of character as opposed to just open air?
I love the character.
So yeah, you guys have a lot of that in Ohio, actually. A lot of character on your, so you get spoiled down there.
Usually when I'm setting up. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, usually when I'm setting up the field for Akron for like just a regular home game, I always try to put at least part of a tree at least hanging over into fair territory, just because I know my outfitters don't like it.
So now everybody knows who to blame for the field setup at Stan Hewitt.
Yeah, 100%. It's me and Scott. That's it.
If you ever like stand down the line, you're like, no, why would he do that? You just heard because he wanted to.
Yep.
Who is your most hated Cleveland Indian of all time?
Uh, Russell. So what was his name? Russell Rainian. I think it was.
Ranyan?
He played third base, and he was terrible. He tried to swing like Tommy did, but he couldn't hit the ball as hard and as far and as often.
Is that the guy that ended up going to Seattle and playing good?
Yep.
There is nothing worse than a guy who goes to another team and actually starts playing good.
Yep.
Oh,
He started hitting a lot better out there, which irritated me even more.
how does Don Jarvis eat an Oreo?
I just shoved it in my mouth, man. A one bite.
No milk, no nothing. This
Nope.
is a dry whole Oreo situation.
Just straight up dry Oreo.
You just don't have time for the nonsense. You're like, I just want the cookie. Just give me the
no. Well, because you dip it in milk and it gets all drippy, and I have a beard, so that's just.
Have you ever found anything in your beard like a week later or something? Has there ever been like, where did this chestnut come from or nothing?
Not a week later, I have after playing a game, because I dive a lot, so I've definitely found grass and debris in my beard before.
That's yeah, you like go up there and scratch. You're like, what is this? It's a stick, and then it's all intertwined in there, and you're like, and then you rip out like 4 hairs, and you have to have a ceremony because you just tore off a piece of your beard, and it's sad.
It's a sad day.
Don Jarvis, you're a good man. And I'm glad that you were able to come on to this whatever this is Vintage Baseball podcast and share yourself with the listeners. I appreciate you, my friend.
No, I appreciate you, buddy. This is it's a good time putting on a good podcast. I enjoy it.
Well, thank you. Somebody who admits that they listen.
Oh,
I mean, that's
I usually I'm sending out, like, I've sent it to people before. I'm like, hey, you need to listen to this. I was dying during this episode.
Yeah, and some of our humor lost us with Rudy being sick with the COVIDs.
I know,
but
I feel so like just rejected. Actually, that's what it is. You know, he never invites me to come play with him, but he'll complain that I'm playing with other people. So I feel even more rejected now.
Well, I'll tell you, I do not tell him necessarily who's going to be on the next episode. I just book and get it all taken care of. And then I say, all right, now it's time to give me the link. And he'll say, who's going to be on the show. And I said, Don Jarvis. And he's like, oh no, I'm going to try to get ready. Cause I want to say this was Friday and he was worse. I mean, he's actually on his way up now, but Friday he was at his worst. He's like, I'm going to do whatever I can. I got to be part of that Jarvis interview. And so he's very disappointed as well. You should know.
Okay, well, good. Now, at least it's both ways then.
All right.
I don't feel near as rejected now.
And stay on the line for me so I can say goodbye to you like a gentleman.
Yes, sir.
As I tell everybody out there, thanks for your continued support. Don't forget December 23rd, Santa Claus interview. And there's still more interviews and stuff to come. Bye now. Okay, I'm clear on that. And Don, you're still being recorded on the Zoom. So just so you know, I don't have that's Rudy's thing, but
okay.
Just so you know, if you say something, you're being recorded. But thank you. I appreciate you. And I'm going to go through my thing here where I get this formatted and uploaded tonight. I'll send you a link, and I just ask you to share it on all of Akron's social medias and your social media and get it out there as much as possible. I know that you will.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate it.
Hey,
I'm glad you came on.
It's been fun. Hopefully I didn't mumble too much or whatever.
No, you were great. You talked. Okay. There's nothing. That's all we want. That's all we want is for people. And we've been on a good streak here. But when you get people on and you ask them questions and they're just like, yes or no, they're just like, yeah. And that's it. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. What am I supposed to do with that? Right.
Right. So no, you talked, you were great. I'm glad we did this. I was glad to get to know you better. And I'm sure we will definitely probably see each other at the Akron Cup. If we don't, we will see each other at least one or two other times during the season. So
I hope so. Hopefully I get to, are you going to Gettysburg this year?
well, I just found out the other day that they're going back to the festival format. They're not doing the tournament.
That's good. I actually like that better.
And but I don't know, because Rudy and I have this thing of, do we want to take the podcast and do festival kind of matches where there's no stakes, or do we want to save, because we're experimenting with more video next year?
Mm.
Do we want to save that and do video for tournaments and stuff like that, like the Akron Cup
Yeah.
and stuff? And so we don't know exactly what we're doing right now. I don't know if the Capitals are going to Gettysburg, so I don't have an answer for that. The only place I know for sure that I'm going is the Sulphur Dell Cup in Tennessee, which usually happens the weekend after Ohio Cup.
I've never even
And
heard of that one.
That's the Tennessee championship. So Tennessee, all the teams in Tennessee have a league,
Okay.
and they're all in. Okay. And at the end of the year, the win-loss record determines your seeding in this tournament, the Sulphur Dell Cup.
Huh.
And they have a weekend tournament, and they have a champion. And
Awesome.
they do it right down in Tennessee. Everything I've learned about Tennessee, I have fallen in love with the vintage baseball down there. All of their fields are all historic.
That's awesome.
Like landmark fields. And for the most part, there's some that aren't, but a lot of Nashville area teams and stuff like that, and their uniforms look good. They all have their own identity within this league. There's no arguing. They do this. And I've wanted to go down for a couple years now. They do the 64 as you would expect, and they do the 64 not East Coast style. So it's like Ohio 64, basically.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that's the only thing I have in cement. And if the Ohio Cup is again the weekend before that, then I'm going to the Ohio Cup and then going on vacation that week in between. And obviously Rudy will be at the Ohio Cup for sure. And then we haven't discussed, I don't know what the Capitals schedule is. I know that they were minimizing this year.
Have you ever been out to Summer Ball out in New York?
No. I saw the Droverton Black Flags are going to Silver Ball.
Oh, are they? That's awesome.
Yeah. The rumor I had heard, well, actually I heard right from the horse's mouth, from Bay City and Droverton after the World's Tournament, they said, we're not coming back next year because we want to go try to do new things. And Silver Ball is what they both said. I don't know if Bay City ended up going or scheduling that or doing that, but
you gotta try to get in up there. You have to ask, hey, can we go? And they have to approve you to come in to play. We've gone probably the last, I don't know, 7, 8 years or something like that.
Akron to the Silver Ball?
Yeah.
What year do they play by?
64. Well, no, not 64. They play fly rule, so it's the 67.
Oh, okay. So how many clubs do they accept in that?
8, I think. 8. I'm gonna say 8.
Yeah. So they got a waiting list.
Because 1 year we didn't get to go. We went out there and we played so bad. They actually said, no, you guys can't come back the next year. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. So they don't have a problem getting teams on that. I know that we have a team here in Michigan, the Eclipse of Northville, that loves going out there. I think they finished second once.
Akron has been on the cusp of making it to the championship game several years, but we never made it into the championship yet. Last year, Cleveland Blues won it last year.
Oh yeah, that's right. Cleveland Blues.
Yeah.
I have not been exposed to them very much yet.
There's actually another team that seems to have our number is a team out in New York, Flower City. because for whatever reason, if we play them, we forget how to hit, forget how to field. It's kind of crazy.
Is that the team that won it all this last year? Or
The year before. So the year before, Flower City won. This year, it was Flower City versus the Blues, and the Blues won it.
yeah. So I just know a lot of the world's teams want to do something different. And you guys have been at the Worlds before, haven't you?
I personally have not.
Oh, you should have took advantage of this year getting in, because they're going to have so many spots open from clubs wanting to do something different.
The problem is the same weekend as Silver Bowl every year.
So you guys, that's a straight thing.
Yeah.
Are you afraid if you don't go that you won't be able to go back?
It'll be harder to get in. It could be a thing. Really, it's the captains really want to win it. So it's one of those things where we said as soon as we win it, we're gonna try the Worlds, but we haven't won it yet. So every year we have a chance, and it's
what city is that Silver Ball in?
Rochester. It's right outside Rochester, New York.
Rochester.
It's Genesee Village, Town Country, or something like that is where we play at. The field is amazing. Like the actual Silver Ball Park is amazing. It's got the wall in the outfield, has a big scoreboard in left field where they have people dressed up in the time period, like keep putting score out there. They have a 2 stands on either side for the fans, and then they have a announcer's box that's like raised up, and a guy sits up there with one like a blowhorn and talks into it and explains the rules of the game, announces when you come up to the plate. It's a lot of fun.
And you probably see obviously you see clubs that are not teams you run into normally. So.
Exactly. I mean, there's still teams that have gone out there that we haven't even played yet. Like there's a team from Canada, I want to say, that we haven't had the chance to play yet.
Is that the Woodstock Actives?
I believe that's who it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of somebody from that damn team for years now to get them on the show, and I can't even get a no out of them. I just can't get a hold of them. I always ask people for contact information, and nobody ever has it.
Yeah, I've never gotten it because we've never even played them. Like I've said, I've seen them. I've seen them play. I've never actually got to play with them.
That's the shits.
I tell you, a dream of mine, and I don't know how I'll make it happen, but I want to, is to take a club and we go to Arizona. We play the teams down there for a weekend, and then we drive over to California and play the teams over there for a weekend, and then come back home. To me, that's a dream that maybe one day.
That is something Canton is looking into right now.
Are they?
Yeah, because they want to play. They're more interested in the California teams.
Yeah.
I don't know if Arizona, because California's got 2 different leagues, a Southern and a Northern.
Yeah.
And they actually just started this season that they're in, sending a couple of clubs to play the South is going to play the North in a neutral halfway in between site.
Okay.
And started doing that. They didn't even think about each other much until like a year ago. So they're bridging that gap. So once that bridge got gapped, Feeney got all excited about doing a roadie out there. So I think he wants to incorporate Colorado into it somehow more than Arizona. I think is
that'd be another one. I mean, there's people up there. There's vintage there too. That would be just as good. I just I would love to just be able to go play vintage all over the freaking US, man.
Yeah, because you get so many different. You guys should really look into playing in Tennessee against one of these clubs that has one of these historic fields. Like one of them plays in the backyard of a president's childhood home or something like that. But most of them, I want to say 75% of their fields are historic battlefields or whatnot, and they seem to do a really good job organizing and doing what they're doing. And you're not coming across some of these clubs that show up in t-shirts. Oh my God.
Yeah, right. Like I get, you get new people coming in and pulling fans out to play, but come on. It's not that hard to get an old dress shirt and pin a shield to it.
Oh no, there was I don't know what team it is, but they showed up at the Ohio Cup last year, all t-shirts, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why are we allowing this? Why is this okay? Why
Didn't
are
make
they
any sense.
inviting? Why aren't they saying we want you to come to the Ohio Cup? Please dress accordingly.
Something.
That's just a bad look.
Yeah.
All right, Don, thanks again. I'll send this to you in a little bit, and we will talk in the near future, I'm sure.
Sounds good, man. I'll talk to you later.
Take care.
Bye.